Hello, how is everybody today? I'm Mandy, back with another video. Today I want to talk about how ABA defeats anxiety. And ABA, if you don't know, is Applied Behavior Analysis. If you haven't watched some of my earlier videos, you might want to take a minute and go back and watch some of those about ABA. This is a bit of a controversial subject because people that are true behaviorists really understand how ABA can help with anxiety. People that have not experienced really good ABA treatment or marginal ABA treatment have observed how anxiety can be exacerbated when implementing some of these techniques. But today I'm here to show you how, or to tell you how, when you really implement ABA in a structured and an appropriate and effective way, utilizing the principles of reinforcement, how this can actually defeat anxiety in really any population, but specifically with autism spectrum disorders. So let me first talk about what anxiety is, right? Anxiety is typically worry about something. Oftentimes, it's worry about the future or worrying about uncertainty. If you think about the times when you've experienced anxiety, chances are there's some event coming up that you're not sure about how it's going to go, even if it's an interaction, whether it's something as big as public speaking or just moving through your day and concerned about what's next. If you think about anxiety from that lens, if you had all those answers, right? If you had all those answers ahead of time, it might help to reduce some of the worry. You might not like the outcome, but it might help to know what to expect. And that's exactly how really good ABA treatment can help with this population of kids and young people who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders in understanding what to expect. For those of you who don't know what ABA is an umbrella which encapsulates a lot of different methodologies of treatment. So there's not one treatment that really is, that's ABA and that's the only one. It's a bunch of different modalities. But what they all tend to have in common is they focus on a behavior, a targeted behavior as we call it, to change something that comes before the behavior and after the behavior. And we call that a three-part contingency. So it's an ABC format. You have the behavior, you have the antecedent, what comes before, and the consequence, which comes after. And if you haven't, also, I did a talk show last year. If you haven't seen any of those, if you go to my website, I think I did a whole show on ABA and explaining what this is in detail for those of you who are beginners to this. When you think about that three-part contingency, really the idea of ABA is being able to change the behavior by examining what comes before it and what comes after the behavior, making changes to the environment to be able to have a better outcome or desired behavior. So when we think about how we implement this for kiddos who are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders, especially I'm going to talk young kids for now, what we're doing is we're setting up a consistency, right? So the other piece of ABA is clear, concise, and consistent. Those are the three rules to a really great ABA program. We're setting up consistency so when we're placing a demand or asking something of the child, they know what to expect based on their response. And that is the art to ABA. And I've talked about that before, that the ABA, it's a science, but there's also an art to it. And the reason why it's an art is because there's no manual for each individual person about how this should work or how it should go. And then within the individual person, there's different behaviors that we might want to change or modify. So it is very complex. It's more than just reinforcement, or sometimes I hear a child's attention seeking. So give them what they want, give them attention, or they just don't want to do something. It's a lot more complicated than that. So why this reduces anxiety, based on what I said earlier about anxiety, is it sets up a child to be able to understand what the expectation will be. And when we kind of know when expectations, what they're going to be or how things are going to work out, we do feel a little bit more comfortable. So I see this a lot when working with this population. On the other side of this, when the caregiver is able to confidently implement these tools and is getting success, there's a symbiotic feedback loop of success. So the caregiver is more confident, they're able to continue to implement the intervention, and the relationship between the two becomes stronger. So in a lot of ways, ABA can help with anxiety for the diagnosed individual as well as the caregiver. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. If you haven't, as I mentioned, go back and watch some of my earlier videos on ABA and perhaps executive functioning to help clarify the overarching philosophy from which I work. Thank you.